Before Zara could react, the shadow leaped from the ground, enveloping her in a suffocating darkness. The villagers watched in shock as Zara disappeared, her screams echoing through the night. But as quickly as the shadow had come, it vanished, taking Zara with it. In the heart of the village of Akwaba lived a young woman named Zara, whose beauty was as striking as her cruelty. Zara was notorious for her sharp tongue and even sharper heart, and her power was feared by all. She had a peculiar gift, or curse, as some would say, a shadow that could move and act independently. Zara used this shadow to terrorize her peers, sending it to harass those who displeased her, finding twisted joy in their suffering. One day, after a particularly cruel act where she made her shadow torment a young girl until she wept, Zara laughed coldly. "They are all so weak," she muttered to herself, reveling in her control over the villagers. But as she turned to leave, something felt different. Her shadow lingered behind, its edges flickering in a way she had never seen before. "Why do you hesitate?" Zara snapped, glaring at the shadow. For the first time, the shadow did not immediately obey. Instead, it began to speak, its voice low and filled with years of suppressed rage. "I am no longer your puppet, Zara. I have endured your cruelty for too long. Tonight, I shall teach you the true meaning of fear." Before Zara could react, the shadow leaped from the ground, enveloping her in a suffocating darkness. The villagers watched in shock as Zara disappeared, her screams echoing through the night. But as quickly as the shadow had come, it vanished, taking Zara with it. Zara awoke in a strange, twisted world, a realm where light was a distant memory, and every surface was made of creeping darkness. The landscape was eerie, with distorted trees and buildings that looked like they were melting into the shadows. It was then that Zara realized this was no ordinary place. She had been taken to the shadow realm, a place of suffering where her shadow ruled supreme. "Welcome to my domain," the shadow's voice boomed, now a towering figure with glowing red eyes. "Here, you will face the consequences of your cruelty." Zara, once so proud and fearless, trembled as the shadow continued. "You have tormented others without a second thought. Now you will experience their pain." The shadow conjured illusions of the villagers Zara had hurt. She saw their fears, their tears, and their anguish, all the emotions she had carelessly dismissed. She was forced to relive each act of cruelty from the perspective of her victims, feeling the pain she had inflicted. "Please stop," Zara pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know. I didn't realize it was this terrible." The shadow loomed closer, its voice heavy with judgment. "You knew, but you didn't care. You reveled in their misery. Now you must earn your freedom." Zara was desperate. "What must I do? I'll do anything." The shadow's eyes flickered with a hint of pity. "If you truly wish to atone, you must prove that you can change. You will be given one chance to return to Akwaba, but know this: should you fail to show true remorse and change your ways, you will be mine forever." Zara nodded, her voice trembling, I swear I will change. I will make things right. With that, the shadow released her, and Zara found herself back in Akwaba, standing in the village square. The villagers, seeing her return, gasped in horror and began to flee. Wait! Zara called after them, her voice breaking. I've changed. I want to make amends. But the villagers were too frightened to listen, their memories of her cruelty still fresh in their minds. Zara knew she had to act quickly. She threw herself into helping the villagers, repairing the damage she had caused. She tended to the sick, rebuilt huts she had ordered destroyed, and used her influence to bring peace instead of chaos. Weeks passed, and slowly the villagers began to notice the change in Zara. Her once cold and haughty demeanor was replaced by humility and kindness. She no longer used her shadow for evil. Instead, it became a constant reminder of the darkness she had once embraced. But as the villagers began to accept her, a mysterious figure appeared in the village. Another shadow, darker and more sinister than her own. It whispered to Zara at night, tempting her to return to her old ways, to reclaim her power through fear. I have changed, Zara insisted, fighting against the voice. I won't go back. But the shadow was persistent, and Zara's resolve began to waver. The villagers, noticing her struggle, gathered around her. Zara, an elder said gently, we see the good in you now. Don't let the darkness take you again. In that moment, Zara realized that the power to resist the shadow didn't come from fear, but from love and the support of her community. She stood tall, facing the dark figure. I am no longer the person I was, she declared. Your hold over me is broken. With those words, the sinister shadow dissolved into nothingness, defeated by Zara's newfound strength. The villagers cheered, surrounding Zara with warmth and acceptance. From that day forward, Zara was not just a legend of cruelty, but a story of redemption. The shadow, once a tool of terror, became a symbol of her journey from darkness to light, reminding all who heard her tale that even the most feared can find the path to compassion.